Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's elected member webinar, which is an introduction to personal resilience. My name is David Barr and I lead on the elected member development programme at the Improvement Service, and I'm going to be your host for today's webinar. This afternoon's presenter will be Amanda Spark from the Improvement Service. I'm just asking Amanda to introduce herself in a moment. But first of all, there's a couple of things I'd like to go through. We feel this is an important topic given the challenges facing elected members right now. The Improvement Service have previously delivered face-to-face workshops for elected members on personal resilience. We just wanted to find a way to offer the support virtually. So today's introductory webinar is the starting point of that support, and we'll also be announcing 3 dates for online workshops at the end of this webinar for any of you that are interested in exploring and developing your personal resilience further. I'd just like to go over the virtual housekeeping for the session. So today's webinar is being recorded and be made available to view online via the IS website after today for you to revisit and share with colleagues, and I encourage you to please do so. We invite your comments and your questions. Now, to do that, we're going to ask you to use the question box that you'll find within the menu that's located to the side of your screen. Usually that's the right-hand side of your screen. If you can't see the menu, look for a small arrow button, use a little orange box, which expands your menu. And within that, you'll have a sort of chat and question function. Put any questions, any issues into that, and I'll pick them up. I'll be posing your questions to Amanda at set point during the webinar. But please just ask questions throughout. I'll gather them up, and when we get to a set point, I'll pose those to Amanda. If we can't get to your question during this session, because it's quite a short session today, just half an hour, we will email you with a response. So please do ask away, and you will definitely be getting an answer. So on that, I'm just going to hand over to Amanda now, and Amanda's going to take you through this afternoon's webinar. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you, David, and hello everyone. I'm delighted to be talking to you today about personal resilience. It's a topic we're hearing quite a lot about at the moment, and it's particularly relevant in these difficult times. I've done a bit of work on developing personal resilience over the years, working with teams and groups, and also in one-to-ones, often as a coach working with leaders, supporting them to explore their personal resilience and identifying ways for them to develop it. As David has said, this webinar is an introduction and is the first part of the personal resilience offer that's available. Today we're going to think about resilience, why it's important, and how we can develop and sustain it. So what is resilience? We hear the term, but what does it mean? There are different definitions. Here is a well-known one. Resilience is our ability to recover and reshape following challenges and difficulties. And if we think about our challenges, they can come in a variety of forms: coping through difficult periods or stressful events, managing new or different situations, or any kind of change. And our resilience is our ability to adapt and flex in different situations, whether it's in your political life, your personal life, your business life. It's about our ability to cope. And that can range from just getting through something, just surviving it and coming out the other side, to really enjoying a new experience or challenge and thriving on it, being stretched and challenged and adapting and learning as we go. So our resilience is how we emerge and how we bounce back, how we recover and reshape as we come through something. And it's also our capacity for change. Our resilience actually determines our ability to deal with change of any kind, good change, difficult changes, big changes, small changes. And our resilience varies. It's not a static thing. It goes up and down. If we think about our resilience as being like a river, you'll see in the picture I have on the slide, we've got a beautiful big river. The water level is high. The river is moving over the things in its path, all of the things it comes across, all of the rocks and the stones, and it's easily able to move around any big obstacles, adjusting and altering its path perhaps, but not really slowing down. And there'll be lots of small rocks and stones on the riverbed and who knows what else. But the river's not really affected by them. They're not stopping its flow or its journey. And now in this next picture, we're looking at a different river, a much lower river. And here we can see that the journey or path the river takes is much more affected by the obstacles. The level of the river means the rocks and stones are quite visible. They're slowing the river down. We can see all of the small stones at the bottom. We couldn't even see what was on the riverbed in the last picture because the water was high, but in this one, the level is much lower. Can you imagine the river feeling all these stones and rocks it comes across? They seem much more significant obstacles here than they would be if the river was high. And thinking about resilience as a river can be really helpful. In the same way as the river levels rise and fall, so does our resilience. It goes up and down, and as it does, it affects the way we experience everything. It affects how easily we can manoeuvre around the obstacles and challenges we face, how much we notice the bumps along the way, and how flexible and adaptable we are, and how we adjust and change as we approach unexpected things we come across. And that's what resilience is all about. When our resilience is high, we're resourceful, adaptable, energised. We're better able to take on and overcome the ups and downs of life. Our ability to learn is better, and we're more likely to thrive, even when things are difficult. But resilience is personal, and we're all different, and our context is different too. We can all learn to understand our personal resilience and increase our resilience capability, though, even although we will do that in different ways. So if we're going to better understand our personal resilience, we need to break it down and think about the different elements of that, how it is actually made up. Now, I've got a model that I'm going to share with you in a minute, but before I do that, I'm going to ask you a question. So we're going to do a quick exercise to think about where our resilience is at the moment, right now. So first of all, I'm going to ask you to think of a time when your resilience was very high. Look at the first river in the picture and think about a time when you were working on something or you were in the middle of something and you felt energized. You were on top of things. What you were doing, you were working hard and you felt as though things were going really well. You were confident, capable, powerful and energized. Now I'm going to ask you to give yourself a resilience rating for today, just now, how you feel just now, on a scale of 1 to 10. And if we imagine 10 would be something close to the example you just thought of, and at the other end of the scale, a 1 would be a time when you'd have rather not even got out of bed, If you think about when you're really struggling, everything feels difficult and you're working hard and digging really deep to find energy just to keep going. So thinking of these two things, that's our scale 1 to 10. Give yourself a number now to rate your resilience right now in this moment. Don't overthink it. This is not scientific. Just go with your gut and what's coming up for you. And can I ask you to type that number into the question box in the chat? Nothing else, just a number. Don't need any explanations and don't need any names. It's just to give me a sense of where people are right now. And I'll give you a minute to do that. I'm going to come back to your resilience number later on. But right now, we're going to think about what affects that number. To help us break it down and think about the different elements of our resilience and how it's made up, I'm going to use this model. The Resilience Capability Index was developed as a tool for leaders to understand and develop their personal resilience capacity, and it describes for us 5 different capabilities that we can all learn and develop. And these 5 capabilities are managing physical energy, perspective, emotional intelligence, purpose, values and strengths, and connections. And you'll see the model shows them as interrelated, which they are. And I'm going to go through each one at a time just to say a little bit about each element. So starting with managing physical energy. This covers all of the things that contribute to our physical energy. So this is about our physical well-being, whether we have a healthy, balanced diet, we eat well, nourish ourselves properly, how we pay attention to our physical fitness, how active we are, how we exercise, how regularly we exercise, whether we exercise at all. Do we manage that well, or do we spend a lot of time feeling guilty about what we meant to do but didn't quite manage or get round to? It's about how well we sleep, whether we get enough sleep. Do we get enough quality sleep? It's about work-life balance too, not just the hours we spend working or in the different roles we have, but also how well we're able to integrate our roles and whether we can take time out to disengage from our responsibilities and have some fun, to relax and recharge, to replenish our energy. All of these things contribute to how we take care of ourselves and ensure we have the physical energy we need when we need it, and we're not running on empty. We're not having to dig deep to find the energy we need just to keep going. So managing physical energy is about taking care of ourselves, developing habits that improve our physical well-being, habits that work for us as individuals and ensure we manage and generate energy. Because it's not just managing the energy we have, it's about focusing on generating more. So if we wanted to check in with ourselves about our well-being and our physical energy and identify ways to improve it, we would want to think about whether we're getting enough exercise, enough sleep, how happy we are with our diet, how much alcohol we drink, whether we're taking time for activities that we enjoy and help us relax, whether we've got the energy for all the things we want to do. So that was managing physical energy, the first one. The next capability we're going to look at is perspective. And perspective is about how we think about things and how we view things. It's about whether we see things as a setback or an opportunity, and it's about our ability to step back from and reframe issues and to consider problems, to solve problems. It's about our ability to be present, have our attention and our focus in the present, on the here and now rather than in the past or the future. So not overly focusing on the past on the history of what's gone before, or the implications or the consequences of what might happen in the future, but bringing awareness and focus and energy to the now. And that means internally with yourself and externally with the environment we're in. Internally, there's a physical element to that. Noticing how you're feeling, how much energy you have, how physically comfortable or uncomfortable you are. And mentally, what's going on? What are you thinking about? What's going through your mind right now? Where is your attention? Being present is about the external environment too, though. What's going on around about us, what we can see, what we can hear, everything we pick up on. What's going on in the space we're in and with the other people who are round about us. So being present is about our ability to notice and pay attention to all of these things, to bring our awareness to the present and what's going on. In this way, we can access what we need in the moment and choose how we're going to respond to a situation or another person, rather than react for reasons that are just not even in our awareness. And if we wanted to check in with ourselves about our sense of perspective and check out how that was, we might think about how present and focused we feel, whether we practice mindfulness, how able we are to find solutions, or whether we're getting stuck in a problem, how able we are to suspend judgment and consider things from a different perspective. Sorry, I jumped. So that was perspective. The next capability as we move round the model is emotional intelligence. We first heard about emotional intelligence in the 1990s. It was Daniel Goleman who popularised this term in his book called Emotional Intelligence, and that was back in 1995. I remember when it came out, and I'm sure some of you will have come across it and read it. So Daniel Goleman describes emotional intelligence as our ability to manage our feelings so that those feelings are expressed appropriately and effectively. So emotional intelligence is about our awareness of our own emotions and how to regulate them. It's about how well we deal with things that come up for us and how we process that, how we process our emotions. It's also about being attuned to what's going on for others, to really paying attention to that and our ability to be supportive and compassionate. And that's not just supportive and compassionate to others, that means towards ourselves as well. And if we're thinking about our own emotional intelligence, we might consider whether we're able and willing to acknowledge our own feelings and how we express them. How often do we say things and wish we hadn't said it in quite that way? Maybe we were angry or frustrated. And also how we pay attention to what's going on for other people, whether we're able to manage our mood, whether we can change it if we need to, so that we can provide support for others when they need it and in the way they need it, in order for everyone to get the best out of a situation. And next to emotional intelligence, we have purpose, values, and strengths. And this capability is about the things that matter to us, our values and beliefs, what's really important in our lives. So if we think about the roles we have, the work we do, our home lives, people in our lives, our hobbies, all of the things we spend our time on and we commit to, our beliefs and values, they're our anchor to what's right and what's important. So how well do our beliefs and values match how we spend our time and how we use our energy? And what about our strengths? Are we good at what we do? Does what we do play to our strengths? Does our contribution make a difference to things that matter to us? We spend a lot of time and energy at work and in all of the different roles we have and we've chosen to take up. So how well does what we do every day fit with what actually matters to us? And if we want to think about our own values and how connected we are to our purpose, we might consider whether we have a clear sense of purpose in our professional life. How self-aware are we? Do we know ourselves? Do we understand our strengths and also our weaknesses? Do we make the opportunity to use our strengths in our roles? Do we act in ways consistent with our values and our beliefs? And does our work fit well with our values and beliefs? And finally, the last capability in the model is connections. And connections is about our networks, our friends, our colleagues, our family and neighbours, all of the people who are around us and who we connect with. Importantly, though, the people who we support and who support us as well. And it's about our own ability and willingness to access that support, to ask for support and to ask for help and use it when we need it. So thinking about what we have in place and about how we use that. Are we good at helping others, but not good at asking for help ourselves? Do we close down when we're stressed, or can we lean in, get support that's available and draw on our connections? Are we willing to be able to be vulnerable? And if we want to think about how solid and strong our own connections are, we might think about who are our trusted others? Who are our go-to people, our friends, our colleagues? What kind of support network do we actually have? How strong is it? How reliable is it? Have we got people who can help us through difficult times? Do we know who they are? And who do we help? Who have we helped in the past? So that's the 5 capabilities. We can think about each one separately, but they are absolutely connected and interrelated, and one will impact on the others. And working on one of those areas and developing and understanding any of those areas impacts on the others too. And if we think about our resilience as a lens to look through and help us understand what makes us okay, how okay we are at any one time or how not okay, and if we take time to think about this and understand it, we can decide to commit to sustaining it. So taking care of our resilience is not just about paying attention to what we need to do to feel better. It's understanding absolutely what keeps us okay and looking to maintain that. Yes, when we're not okay, we want to know what's contributing to that and what things we can do to improve it and make things better. I said earlier that our resilience levels change, they go up and down. And some of the things that make them go up and down are not even in our control, but other things are. So if each of us can understand the things that make us more resilient, what really works for us as individuals, then we can decide to pay attention to these things and to develop habits that will make us more resilient more of the time. Because developing personal resilience is all about our habits, all of the things that we do that contribute to our well-being, our energy, our relationships, our workloads, our happiness. That all contributes to our resilience. And we've all got good habits and bad habits. If we take some time to create awareness and better understand how what we do affects our resilience, we can develop new habits, often small things that will help bring balance and help us create energy. And if you just take a minute to think back to the number you gave yourself earlier when you rated your resilience right now, what would it be like if that number was higher? And what could you do to get to a higher number? What's contributing to the number you're at the moment? That's the territory, and that's what we'll get in amongst in the workshops. If you want to take this further and explore that, then there'll be an opportunity for you to sign up to one of the workshops. Resilience is a very personal thing, and what works for each of us to make us more resilient is unique. And that's all. That's my presentation, and that's the explanation and the introduction to resilience for today. I'm happy to take any questions anybody's got.
Thank you, Amanda. One question here, and it is on, so the person is struggling as they can't do the things that you usually would to keep resilient, just because of the lockdown. Is there anything that you can suggest at the moment that might be able to help that person?
Thanks, David. Yeah, that's a really good question, and one that is probably relevant for an awful lot of people at the moment. So the things that I normally do to keep myself resilient are often, a lot of it's around about how I connect with other people, spending time with people that I care about. And so that's family, that's friends, and going to yoga classes and doing body balance classes. And so obviously during this time of lockdown, I've not been able to do any of those things. And you know, for somebody who knows an awful lot about resilience, it never ceases to amaze me how I can just forget that for short periods of time, because what I noticed was how tired I felt. And when I actually just took that step back and thought about, okay, what's going on for me right now, I realised really quickly that the ways that I normally get my energy, the things that are really important for me to have fun and relax and de-stress a bit, I'm just not able to do. So it's very much about finding alternatives to replace that. So some really obvious things. I don't like doing yoga at home, watching watching a YouTube video, but I have been doing it, and just doing little things like that are really making a big difference. So normally I would spend physical time with friends and family, and during these times we've had to rely on FaceTime, Skype and video chats just like everyone else has. So it's about being able to switch between the normal habits and to go to new and different things.
Thanks, Amanda. There's no more questions, but there was a comment from a member, which I think resonates with a lot with what you've said. And that was, a lot of councillors are finding life a little tricky as their usual roles are not as they usually are. It's about keeping perspective, I guess, and finding useful things to keep busy. And there's a couple of comments here as well along the same sort of line. So that's actually been really helpful. If I could just finish up, first of all, saying thank you very much, Amanda, for your presentation. That was really helpful. As we said at the start, this was only the beginning of the offer, if you like. What we wanted to do was to make sure that you got a bit of a flavour for what personal resilience is and how you can explore and develop your own personal resilience. But that's only really the starting point. So we have 3 online workshops that you can sign up to after this, where you're going to be able to go and have a more in-depth exploration and come up with your own action plan, essentially, that will help you with your own personal resilience. So those workshops are going to be on May the 12th, 2 till 3 p.m, 14th of May at 3:30 till 4:30, and 21st of May, 10 till 11 a.m. I will email you all after this webinar, and if you want to sign up for any of those workshops, just let me know, and I'll get you registered to them. And so those are going to be the more in-depth exploration for you after today. Just also to say, we've got an elected members COVID-19 Knowledge Hub group that is a sort of online space in which members can ask each other questions or share good practice, or just really anything that you want to do. You can sign up to that, and it's a space where you can connect with other elected members. I'll also send you the information for that group, because we're uploading some resources onto that group around about personal resilience and good mental health. So there's lots of stuff there that might be able to help you. So I'll send you a link to that after today's session as well. And yeah, just finally, if there are things that you're looking for support from us please then do get in touch with us. Just put some contact details on the slide there. So we've got a website, we've got a dedicated email address, and we've also on Twitter, so you can follow us on there. If you've got anything you think we can help with, please do get in touch. We're really keen to try and support members through this crisis. There's lots of different issues and challenges you're facing, and if there's anything we can do for you, please do let us know. So on that, that's us finished for this session. As I said, we'll be in touch. I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and we'll speak soon.